Hey everybody, welcome to the Birds and Bots podcast video cast. Trying this out for the first time, so it might be trash, might be decent, don't hate, but as usual, this is kind of my take on having a couple interesting people come over, do some interesting conversations, and just kind of go from there, talk about some hobbies, some interests, what they're doing, what they like to do, yada yada. Today I'll be hosting my two people I know for a while. One is, I guess you guys can turn around lightly. One, we have Ben, Viefhues,
Yeah.
and
Connor
Brennan. Sweet. And since this is all live and I don't know how to pause this, they get to watch me awkwardly dangle this thing and slightly put it into my position. Hope everyone likes that finger view. Christ. Just fit her in. No. Oh man.
Let's just trust
Let's
it.
just assume it.
Let's
It's
just
good.
assume it's good.
If it's bad and all we see is nothing, it's good enough.
We'll see what
Hey
happens.
guys, thanks for coming by. It's
Hey,
been
man.
like a couple of months.
Yeah, good to be here.
Yeah. Normally I start out with kind of who you guys are. So I initiated this with you, Connor. So we'll start off. Who you are you from Kamloops? Are you in school? Yada yada.
Yeah, I'm from Kamloops. I was born here, and I'm in TRU right now studying for a psych degree.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Ben.
I'm from Abbotsford,
Nice.
but I've moved like all over the place. I grew up a bit here too.
Mm.
I came back from living in the coast, and before that living in Washington.
Nice.
I was living in Kirkland, Bothell, Seattle area.
That's a place. That's cool.
Yeah, I was living there. I grew up, like, did a bit of growing up there, and then I came to White Rock, and then eventually Vancouver, and then Kamloops. And
Nice.
so I've been around. Like, I've never been like that guy that's been in that one house his whole life. Kind of growing up, it's always been like I've felt like a gypsy my whole life. basically.
Nice.
So, yeah, it's
Good
pretty
phrasing. Did you say so? Was Bubbles?
Bothell.
Bothell? Was that in the States? You said.
Yeah.
So do you have a dual citizenship then, or?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. So the reason why the two of you are on here, I invited Connor in the first place because I know you're a musician.
Yeah.
And then I bumped into Ben. I think a couple weeks after that, I knew you were coming into it, and we're sitting. I was like, was it pizza pie or pizza?
Yeah, we were outside. I just finished eating pizza.
Yeah.
Actually, I was just stuffing my face. It was all over me, and I was like, "Oh, hi, Mike."
Yeah, how's
and
it going?
you were just like, "Oh, you're just looking all sharp," and I was just dressing whatever, and you're, "Hey, man, you want to do pod?" I was actually surprised. You were just like, "Hey, let's do podcast."
Yeah.
I was just like, "Okay."
Well, interesting people, man. You work, or at least you did work at Central as the door guard.
I'm still doing that.
Yeah. So
Still
like I
doing
keep
that.
seeing you all the time.
Yeah.
You also, similarly enough to Connor, and ironically, you listen and play the same. Well, you may not play the same music he plays, but you are in the same genre-ish,
Yeah.
as well as you're in a band together, which is kind of
Yeah.
cool.
Officially, yeah.
Yeah. How about we'll start with what's the name of your guys' group band, and we'll kind of go from there too.
Well, the group that I've been working on for the past 6 years is a technical death metal
Yeah.
progressive group called Cavernated.
Cavernated.
It's like a play on word that I made up.
What's the play on the word?
It's cavern, like a cave-like effect, like psychologically.
Okay.
Kind of like, basically the whole thing is about. There's actually a whole sci-fi kind of storyline that I might break into it a bit.
Okay,
Not
cool.
fully, but a bit. But the actual, a little short story of what the word means is basically, like, it's like a psychological, like, term for like caving yourself in, being like a cave-like state, where you're just like this kind of stoic figure in lost in space, and you're kind of like, you become kind of dead psychologically, and you're kind of
Okay.
going through the motions, and it's kind of something that you wish to avoid, being a person that's maybe like that doesn't fit in with the rest of the crowd kind of thing, or you're just like you haven't found yourself yet, you've always felt like, because me, for example, I've always felt like a loner growing up.
Sure, yeah.
And
Same boat. I don't know about you guys, but
Me
I feel
too.
like an outsider, fly on the wall and all that all my times.
Yeah, always felt that.
and it's basically about cavernated is like, you know, a certain aspect of being that you wish to not become. You know, it's good to be social. It's good to have good social interactions with people. It's good to have good charisma, you know, to get you far in life.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. And so it's basically learning how to not cave yourself and like shut the door on people, kind of thing. So and the rest of the album, when you hear it and when we finally get it done, like you get to hear the effects of what happens when you know, become this person. That's just like, you know, you lose yourself in a way. You know, if you move away or if you live out in the boonies or whatever, like you become a different kind of, you know,
human.
Yeah, it's different. You know?
I mean, non-human almost if you live too far away or take yourself off too long. I have a bunch of questions. This is awesome because like sometimes when people talk, I don't have a question that come out of that. I have a bunch of questions from that.
Yeah.
I'll lay a few out so I don't forget them. One, earlier back, you said progressive death metal. I'd like you to explain that to the audience and me. Two, you said you made the word up yourself, or is there some things that
I haven't
like,
heard to this day.
Story, I'll pop these out so I don't forget. You made it yourself, but I'm sure there's influences that kind of got your thought on those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Three, this band that you're working on. Sorry, I already forgot. Cavernated. It's still in progress.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to hear how you met your bandmate, and then after that, I'd like maybe you to explain how you guys kind of got into a band. I'm gonna grab our drinks because I'm totally crap.
Oh,
They're just sitting on the table,
cool.
and my mouth is going dry. Yeah. Oh, you already counted out one of these waters. Do you know who drank first, or?
That'd be me.
Nice. Here.
Thanks,
There's
man.
a little table beside you as well.
Sweet.
And then there's this here if you like. I don't know if you've been here. If you guys do need to use the washroom at any time, it's just right there.
Cool.
All right. Awesome.
And water just from the tap. Yeah, so let's start with explaining progressive death metal or technical death metal.
Kind of both.
It's got a bit of both.
Sure. I'll let Connor, because I want to kind of like do the
for
equal
sure.
list as we go through.
Well, like progressive death metal, there was like progressive rock, which is just, it's got weird time signatures. It kind of pushes like musical abilities quite a bit. It's got changing tempos and all that. And like a lot of bands like Rush was one of the first bands that ever started doing that.
Okay.
And then there's like progressive metal, which is like Dream Theater. They do crazy instrumental stuff. But then the death metal aspect on it is the like screamed or the like growled vocals, really harsh sort of things. Almost kind of like not like melody driven, almost kind of like at times like sounds like dissonant and almost like it
Cause
shouldn't.
that feeling while you're hearing it.
Yeah, it's like not supposed to really cause like a lot of music that's really popular nowadays is supposed to cause like a good happy feeling in you.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to, you know, groove along to the music. This is like you can groove along to it, but it's not supposed to cause like happy feelings. It's supposed to be like it's darker and just more brooding and just like focuses on the like more negative aspects of like music
and life.
Yeah,
You know.
and the technical death metal part is just because the music is technical. Like it's
A lot of research behind the lyrics, a lot of the research behind like the what is it, chord structure and stuff
it's
like
just
that.
like it's like playing ability, writing ability. Like Ben writes the majority of all the stuff that's in it, and I learned from him and like right on top of that. And I can say we just recorded like a bit of a song today, and the entire time like it was just beating the like shit out of me. Like I'm just sitting there like fucking like just scratching my head, just being like, I don't, you know, like it's really technical.
Is it so when that feeling? Hey, do you want to close that door for me? Sorry,
Oh,
that's when I walk through. Is that feeling of oh shit, I know it. Is that your skill hasn't reached that technical, or is it like there's a lot of depth to these that you're going through as you're going writing it and listening to it?
For me, the biggest thing is rhythm wise.
Okay.
Because Ben has a style of doing these really like weird pushy sort of rhythm things. They have like weird time signatures, but they also have like weird ways of phrasing it. It's not normal. Like it's not how I'm used to playing. So it like pushes my playing and like learning abilities. But in the end, it's not really like me like saying it's a bad thing. Like I actually like being able to get pushed past my abilities. But it's just overall really technical. It's not easy to play or easy to learn. But once you get it down, it's like a lot of fun to play.
Sweet. So what Bob's got you guys into technical death? I feel like I'm gonna be retarded if I keep. I feel like I'm an idiot if I keep saying it wrong. So you're doing technical death metal?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what got you into that? And then also I do want to know about how you kind of thought of that name, which sounds like there's a lot of depth to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So was it young? Were you young? Both of you? Jumping either of you?
Well, I was, it started out before when I was living in Kamloops. I was listening. My cousin got me into Slipknot and Trivium.
Okay. Yeah.
A lot of the more kind of like metalcore side of things, and like new metal and all that stuff. So listen to that. And actually, when I started playing bass, I was listening to a lot of jazz and a lot of fusion, a lot of 1970s bands like Weather Report, and Alan Holdsworth, and George Duke, and like a lot of bands that have featured drummers like Billy Cobham and Vinnie Colaiuta and Steve Gadd and a lot of drummers like that. So I built like a rhythmic sense of different weird experimental elements featuring jazz, like but Latin, the Latin aspect.
Okay.
So and I learned how to play sambas and bossa novas and stuff. And I would play in restaurants in Vancouver in my dad's band. It was called Futru, and we played Futru.
Futru. Okay.
Which is actually a saying that someone from my family, I forget who, but it was someone from my family that was her saying. She would say, "Oh, for true, like for real," and
Nice.
my dad used it as a name, so that was my dad's band, and I played bass in it, and he taught me bass, and he had me 5 hours a day in the garage, learning bass. So that's where it all comes from, basically. So thanks to my dad, but. Eventually, like, I moved away, and I really liked metal, but I wanted something more, so I actually went on a binge for, like, months, looking up new bands that I haven't heard before, and it was...
In the genre?
I knew there was, like, because I remembered one time when I was young, I was watching TV in my mom's house. This was in Kamloops, and I think Much Loud, it was Much Loud was on, and, it was the first time I ever watched this band Cryptopsy, and they're a band from Quebec, and they're like brutal death metal, and it was the first time I heard like 280 BPM double kick stuff.
280, jeez.
Just like crazy stuff, and it was the first time I've ever seen that, heard that, and I remember that after I left living with my dad to come back home. And I was like, man, I gotta get back into this. So I found all these crazy bands. Yeah. Like, my favorite band to this day now is Martyr.
Martyr?
Or Martyr, as people say, but...
Okay, so is it spelled like that too?
I've heard three sayings. I've heard Martyr, Martyr, Quebec.
Does it have like the dots on it? Or?
No, it doesn't, but it's just the way
fake dots.
Even Dan, I've heard him say, just call it Martyr, and, it's Martyr. But, and to this day, like... My favorite bass player is Francois Mongrain, and of course Dan Mongrain. So he influenced my style a lot in my type of orchestrations, my type of writing arrangements, and to this day, I've taken what I've from the ground up from like playing in jazz bands and playing death metal, and I've just added on my little taste of it.
That's so sweet.
So that's basically what.
Words in my mouth, they're gone. And Connor, was it the same? Was it like, were you in a band when you were younger? Was it something pop up, family or friends?
No, I actually had a really different upbringing in music. When I was growing up, my mom was...
I should say, for anything that sounds intense, so like, luckily I know what RPMs is in like music, but like I'm an idiot in all this genre. So like when you say brutal death metal or something like that, it explains like that is a genre, or like I don't know anything. So like maybe with some information, because I'm completely out of my area. I listen to a little jazz and kind of electronic in the background, so I don't know anything about it. I'm interesting. That's why I'm here for it. But yeah, go ahead. Keep going.
When I was growing up, my mom Most of the music I heard was like played in her car when she would like take me to school or take me, and my mom was like a huge country music fan.
Cool.
So I grew up listening to a lot of country music and a lot of pop music, and then kind of when I started to spend like more time over like the years with my dad, he listened to a lot of hard rock and like 80s metal and all that. And I think the first time I heard like metal of any kind was my dad put on Welcome to the Jungle in his car, and that was like, I was like, wow, what's that? Just, you know, hearing it, I was like, that seems heavier.
Is that foot just going?
Yeah, I was like, it seems heavier than the normal stuff. And then he kind of would put on stuff like, he also weirdly got me into like rap music because he was a big Eminem and like NWA fan, and he would play that in the car, and I would listen to that. And then also classic rock, like he would play like Phil Collins, like In the Air Tonight, The Police, stuff like that. And then just over time, I was like, and kind of deals with like the loner thing. I was like an angsty little teenager, and I was like, this just is not like angry enough, and like I guess I was just like, I want it to be angry, so I started listening to more new metal stuff, like stuff like Papa Roach, Limp Bizkit, you know, Slipknot. Started getting into more thrashy, like going back and back, like Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, Anthrax, you know, big four of like metal. And then I just kind of over time progressed more and more into like heavier and heavier types of music. I heard like screaming on Avenged Sevenfold's first couple albums, and then I was like, oh, that's cool, so I looked more into that style. Then I found like melodic death metal, like Children of Bodom sort of stuff.
And then melodic comes from, I know you slightly touched on it before, but it's
trying
like, to be in there rather than the dissonance style?
Yeah, it's like really, they have a lot of really catchy parts, and they have lots of keyboards and stuff in their things. They kind of like go back over melodies a lot of the time.
Okay.
And then as it just progressed, I kind of, like Ben, I was just kind of like, oh, this isn't like, I kind of want to push what I'm listening to just to kind of expand like musical abilities. Like I started looking up, like I would literally just be on my computer looking up like the dumbest little phrases, like hardest guitar song to play, like fastest metal song, like weirdest time signature. And I just started getting more into it, started listening to like stuff like Flesh God, Apocalypse, The Martyr, like Necrophagus. These are all like technical death metal bands, or like just melodic death metal sort of stuff. Suffocation, just that sort of like the brutal death metal sort of stuff. And just like over time, over like exploring, going from, you know, country and pop, which is like the most simple music, I just kind of started to get slowly, progressively more into, it's not as complicated as I want it to be. I want it to be more complicated, you know, I want it to be harder, I want it to push all the abilities.
So what's complicated and what's harder? You pick which one you want to explain that to me. Do you mean like louder, more bass, more like, is it darker, is it,
well, being complicated is like, you know, it's kind of the way you approach writing. It's more mathematical.
Okay.
There's more math involved, and you know, especially if you're transcribing.
Like 4 lines, 3 lines, quick, fast.
Like just the way you have, you know, a lot of scaly stuff, like a lot of different.
It's almost like how old classical music was, because it was very music theory based.
Okay.
And it's really based around like the perfection of the musicalness of it. While some bands just kind of want, you know, the sound they're going for. They don't care whether or not it's like perfect musically.
And going back to it, you know, a lot of the mathematical stuff, a lot of it was, you know, fusion guys like Alan Holdsworth, where he used a lot of different elements of different music with jazz.
Okay.
And he made it very mathematical. It was very technical. It was very like intricate. It was like weird. It was like, you know, there's a downbeat, say you're playing 4/4. There's things that would be done before the beat or after the beat that would come. And just
a lot more music writing into it, basically.
More writing, just the way the music flowed. It was before, just the way it pushes through, kind of thing. You know, when when a singer phrases something, he might do it before the beat, before the downbeat, so it has this cool like rolling effect to it. And a lot of jazz is based on that whole concept. And so that's something that could be considered more technical or more complicated. Whereas where you're asking like the difference like between the complicated or the harder stuff, a lot of the harder stuff might have elements of that. But for like brutal death metal bands, for example, like bands like Defeated Sanity, Suffocation, Cryptopsy, they use like blast beats, like there's 16 notes.
What's a blast beat?
A blast beat is like utilizing all 16th note patterns. So you have your quarter note, which is 1, 2. Say you're in 4/4. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you have your 8th notes, which is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay. Then you have your 16th notes, which is 1 EN and 2 EN and 3 EN and 4 EN. It's just 4 beats. It's just 4 beats within that measure. So you basically like you're accenting every hit 16th notes wise, and you're doing it with for a drummer.
That higher.
You're getting the snare. You're getting faster within the beat.
Yeah.
And so brutal death metal is based off that. You know, it's based off basically there's more of intense playing. There's faster playing. The riffs are more evil. There's more, like he said, dissonance. And that's an example of being more harder, basically. Something harder, heavier, scarier, more monstrous, kind of like.
The way I describe it to people who just like don't really want to talk about, it sounds uglier.
Okay.
But that's the point. It's not supposed to sound pretty. It's supposed to sound ugly and like gross at times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that, I already feel a nice transition with that topic is so there's philosophy behind every music and the way it affects you. Like dance music gets you kind of dancey, and like happy music tries to make you feel happy, and sad music tries to make you deal with the sadness you're going through. So what appeals to you when you're listening? Like I assume it's not the only type of music you listen to, but it's your main kind of stuff. So how has it helped you in your lives? Like have there been moments that like this music, it helped you progress in this growth of yourself, or how do you see it? How about you first, Connor?
Well, again, like to the anger that I used to have when I was like growing up, I don't know, I'd always kind of like felt like the world was like against me sort of thing, and the music just helped because it made me realize it's like, you know, you can release anger in a healthier way than, you know, being a little, you know, pissant to everyone that you meet, being all rude and all that, being all like, I don't care what you think. It kind of just helped me to be like, you know, there's healthier ways to release my aggression than just hating the world. And it also kind of helped because I'm just like, you know, it kind of showed me, I was like, oh, other people also feel this. So it's like, you know, you kind of have a sense of I'm not alone in going through that sort of like
community.
You kind of feel like you have people who like even if they don't know you, like you feel like they get it.
Yeah.
They get why you're like the way you are. Because, you know, you can't decide why the way you are. You can't choose to be the way you are. You just are the way you are.
Yeah. And in a different way, I've had the argument too at different times. Well, we have free choice to go to A or B. You don't have the choice to be angry or not. You just are. Or you don't have the choice to be a person with. I have depression, and you talked about it. Yeah. I don't have the choice to not be depressed. It's there when it's here.
I hear some people say like you can think yourself out of it. It's like maybe. But that is nearing impossible.
Yeah.
Because the way like it works is like it tells you can't think yourself out of it. So
And there's physical effects to the anger. It's almost like you want to do this.
Yeah.
And when it's depression, it's almost like you're like, oh, fuck.
There's days, literally where like I will feel so depressed. There will be days where I'm like, I go to bed. I'm like, I'm gonna get up and do all I gotta do today. I wake up in the morning. I'm like, I'm going to lay in bed and do nothing all day.
Yeah. I skipped like half my week this week just because I was just out of it. It's like, fuck it, I can't do it. I'm not going anymore.
It just happens.
Yeah, that's what we have. What about you, Ben? How has this genre or this philosophy that comes with the music kind of helped you grow over the last?
I think to like summarize it, I think the best way to say it would be basically like it helped me to see life in a more logical sense.
Cool.
And when you're
Were you not logical before?
Well, I was just really like I was kind of like, you know, really just running through the motions, and I was so naive about everything. And I was just kind of like, I liked music, but you know, I was kind of aloof, you know. But listening to very mathematical music really made me think more logically about when I'm angry. for example. Like it helped me see through it and realize, okay, just break down like why am I angry? Why am I feeling these things? Why am I feeling like the world's against me? Why am I why am I so hard on myself? And it's basically like I realized I wasn't where I should be.
Cool.
I wasn't getting the full. I wasn't when you squeeze that lemon, you're getting all the juice out. That's what life is like to me. You squeeze that lemon so you make the best lemonade you can. And I realized, playing this music was like what I was about, really. How I phrase the way I play music, how I phrase everything, and the way I talk, the way I speak. It's just my.
It's all affecting in a lot of cool
Yeah.
ways.
So thinking logically about, figuring out my problems instead of getting angry at everything. Being angsty about everything. Just kind of like maybe like kill two birds with one stone. I can figure this out and get my shit together. And then like maybe like, especially like relationship wise. Like I've never been in a relationship with any girl or anything like that. Boys. I've always been kind of like, just doing my own thing.
Yeah.
It's always been kind of like that. So, but that would always get down on me too. Like I would just be like, man, like why am I having so many problems? I would meet different girls, but it was always just like I was always just busy with music, so I never really paid attention to it. So even though I would get angry about that, I saw the reason why. The more I listened to this kind of music, the more I solidified the reason why I was kind of like not making my goals in other aspects of my life. So
sorry, I just want to make sure I'm getting out. So the music is you're realizing this is your path. I know we talked about your other stuff that we might get into later, like your business that you thought of doing, but like you really want to follow this path of getting better music first, and this almost an academic approach to being better at your trait of music before you get involved with women in life and doing all the other things at once, but you have this goal, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
And just solidifying something that getting my first album done with Cavernated has been like a long-term goal that I've had. Getting that first album done, recorded. And
you're young as heck, aren't you? Aren't you like 19, 20?
I'm 25.
Oh, well, let's say now.
I'm still young.
I'm 25. It's not that old.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
So, having a lot of turmoil like that when you grow up, because me and my dad, for a while, we didn't get along too. He was always hard on me in school, and that's where a lot of the anger came from, and people would make fun of me at school because I was different, I was a lot lankier growing up too. Like I wasn't, like I'm more stockier.
Both of you, I saw from some of your old music.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm a lot stockier now, but I had a lot of hardships growing up. I was just always different. And work. Actually, what it was, music, like listening to death metal, made me want to get bigger too. So I worked out. And it was
literally.
It's all mass.
But it all comes from logic, like thinking logically of why you feel this way, and then I started listening to metal. I got better on my instrument. I started playing faster stuff, more technical stuff, and like looking at scales at home, digging down, and then I would like transcend that into other factors of like looking a certain way, dressing a certain way, and like working out hard, like getting bigger, and then confidence. When I talk to girls, like I'm more confident. Like
You've always seemed like a confident guy whenever I see you at the door.
Thanks, man. Yeah, for sure. And it's all relative. It's all it all revolves around each other.
There's a quote to it. Do you guys watch Joe Rogan at all that well?
Yeah, I've watched a few of his
a little bit, yeah.
Even though it doesn't really matter, but he has a quote because he's got I'm gonna butcher this name. I want to say it's Miyamoto Musashi, the original writer of the Five Rings. Is a Japanese book on how to be a samurai and one of the original Bushido kind of texts.
Okay.
And there's a phrase that that guy stated, which if you practice one thing 10,000 times, not only will it ripple into that skill, but it'll ripple outward. So like your logical thinking through music isn't everywhere in your life, and the music has also made you be bigger and wanting to work out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's really cool how when you really aim at one thing, you kind of evolve in all these other ways as well.
Yeah.
With that, I was gonna say, do you guys remember how you guys met and like how you guys started out as a band and stuff like that?
I think the first time we met was when I was playing with one of my old bands. We met at like a show, I think.
Was it Padova?
I think it was back when we were like Chernobyl, because even Gage was in the band at that time.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's probably like three and a half years ago.
There's some history with the name Padova because you were in Padova, right?
Yeah, I was in Padova, which was Chernobyl, which they were Chernobyl for like 2 years. And then I joined the band, stayed Chernobyl for like another year. And then that Gage guitarist was like left the band. Then we changed it to Padova. And then I left Padova like probably like a year and a half ago or something.
There's some little backstory. So I was in a band with Justin, my buddy Justin, a different Justin than the one you met today earlier.
Oh yes.
And we were called Padova based off Padova City.
You were in Padova and you joined that band.
We
Chernobyl?
completely
Two
different
different
bands.
bands.
Oh, so there's just
Yeah.
two
Yeah.
bands.
So
Yeah.
Okay.
we had
That's
the name.
weird, okay.
We had the name before it was a thrash band, which
Okay.
is ironic because they.
Hey everybody, there's going to be some technical difficulties that I messed up on this episode. Of course, first video, first edit, first mess. Let's hope it's in the same spot as last time too.
Camera cuts, it's fancy.
Yeah, if I even know how to fucking do that, I'll figure it out. Might not be uploaded for a while then, because like, might take me a couple. I don't know now, so we'll see.
Yeah.
I might upload them in 2 videos. It might be the easiest way to like have back-to-back part 1, part 2. I mean, people do that on YouTube all the time.
Mm-hmm.
The sequel.
Yeah, part of the sequel. So I think we ended off the last video. So if anyone is curious what's going on, I uploaded the video. I didn't have enough storage on my phone. We talked for 45 minutes. We got 10 minutes saved. I'm going to try and recopy some of that. Obviously, as it's a random conversation, it's not going to be identical. The ones in my head, I think, where we were, I like the philosophy of how it helps you guys, like how you really enjoy the music. So that will involve like technical, it'll involve the angst shit. What did we talk about for like 30 minutes? We'll talk about your guys' bands, how you guys ironically had the same band name Padova. These are just the outline teasers for everyone who's interested. What do we end? And then we'll talk about the band you're in.
Okay.
So we'll start again with you're explaining progressive death metal. And let's start with how has this music affected your guys' lives? How does that philosophy helped you grow up? We'll start with you again. Give it round 2 of the same.
All right. Well, it just helped me grow up because, growing up, it was like out there. It wasn't like the norm, and I never felt like I was in the norm growing up. It always felt like an outsider, kind of like loner sort of deal. So I was like, oh, this is cool. I like this. And I was a really angry kid growing up, so hearing this angry music, I was just like, I related to it, and I was like, oh, I completely understand what they're going through, and like I understand how they're feeling, and it's nice to feel like other people get it, and they're just like they know what you're going through, so you don't feel so like alone in your battles and all that. You don't feel so like hopeless, like I'm the only person who feels like this. Why does nobody get me? It makes people get. It makes you understand, like, oh, people do get
complicated
it.
feelings from anger to sadness to feeling an outsider, all this crap.
Yeah, exactly. And like just having, I've gone into psychology in school. It's given me a better understanding of it. I'm kind of getting more open and realizing why it's happening and all that. I'm like, but the music for the most part has just been like, I just really have always liked really heavy shit that makes me want to break everything in sight and lose my mind, but in a good way.
Well, I think you said it in the last part of the last podcast, but not in the one we have recorded, that it is something that has allowed you to, these feelings you've had when you're a kid, you don't just have to hold them deep, but you can create them into it's like drawing. You can put it on paper or...
Exactly. It kind of just helps you more understand what you're going through and understand, like, it's got its reasons, it's got, things why it happens,
It's an outlet, a constructive outlet.
Yeah, it's an outlet. It really is, like, that's what music is for me a lot of the time. It's an outlet to release all the, you know, all the bad negative things I have in my mind. I release them in a positive way in music rather than negative ways, which would, you know, be unsavory for a human to do.
Yeah. And what about you, Ben? How has, like, the technical, how has that made you more who you are?
Well, like I stated before,
And hard.
it's
That was passive aggressive.
No, it's all good.
no, I didn't mean it like that. It was like logically, thinking logically, and you know, I grew up with a lot of angst, a lot of bullies harassing me and stuff, and
A lot of traveling. I don't know if that's in this.
yeah,
part
I
of the
never
thing or
really
not.
just traveling a lot.
Have to make new friends, new schools,
Yeah.
new hobbies. Maybe you made one before.
You know, I've had a lot of inconsistent ways of life and just growing up and stuff, so I've always been kind of awkward when it comes to, I've always, like just now, saying the wrong thing.
No, I know. That's good.
But, you know, just saying, just awkward, just being awkward and stuff, but, like, this music it's like another me in musical form. I really see it as, and being like that, being the way I am musically, and being an artist, I've tapped into something that's very tangible for me to express
To
music
build yourself up.
as an artist, but
No.
but like I've always, not just now, but like I've always said to other people before, like it's like a way to be more logical. This kind of music, you can be more logical with how you are, how you feel, how things make you feel, and why you feel a certain way.
Breaking them down.
And it's a problem.
Yeah.
It's a way to problem solve issues. It's a way to problem solve. You know, be more organized. This music is it's like an organized chaos. Being very organized with how you live your life, just like step by one routines. To better yourself, to better how you are with people, and the more you look inward and try to figure your own stuff out and try to be more organized with how you work your day in and out every week. The more you can be more presentable to people psychologically, and the more you have better vocabulary with people. Not just doing that, but also educating yourself too, and just learning about new things, and just like that, and just this music has really really opened me up to, you know, bettering myself and like working out and getting bigger and stuff. Because I had a lot of anger from, you know, living with my dad. Like he doesn't really listen to this kind of stuff at all. So a lot of ways he didn't understand where I was coming from. And I was angry about that. And I was angry about a lot of kids that also didn't understand. Like, I lived in Kitsilano, Vancouver for a bit, and that's kind of where it all kind of started, like my angst and stuff. And, you know, just like, I wasn't really a sports guy either. Like, I played a bit of grade 8 football, but that was it. And I was pretty good, but, you know, I've never been a really big sports fan, so I was always different.
You didn't have your thing yet.
I didn't have anything, so this was like a really, really turning point for me to, like, have my own language, my own vocabulary. And I actually didn't really even experience my own kind of thing, even when I was playing jazz, like fusion and funk and blues in my dad's band.
We'll also circle around that, because I think that part was in the stuff that got cut. So I'm going to ask you how you guys got into it in a second. But also, okay, Google, set alarm for 15 minutes.
Got it. Your alarm's set for 6:28 p.m.
I want to check in 15 minutes if this video doesn't stop on us.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we'll keep going after that as well.
Okay.
You said a really cool thing in the last video, which was about how in a way you've had a lot of hard times kind of coming with a girl or girlfriend or something like that, but also in that same way the music has also allowed you to realize you have this goal that you're doing right now, which is you want to get good at this, your first album release that you're working on right now.
Yeah.
And you explained it really nice, and I really like that. If you could maybe try and touch that one more time.
Yeah.
And after that, we'll go into how you guys got into this metal again.
Like,
Explain
what I was just trying to explain before was basically growing up, not really knowing how to talk to girls and stuff like that. This music kind of like gives you more confidence. And I'm not a guy that's had a lot of girlfriends. Like, I've never really had a relationship. I've always just kind of like had flings and stuff. A little bit too because I'm really picky, but you know, but I'm just like I'm just really, you know, I haven't really found that one yet that I could really just have like a certain kind of give and take.
No. Kind
of thing between me and a person. So yeah, this music has helped me like with confidence, talking to girls, and like, you know,
being your true self,
being my true self, being natural, you know, not throwing any gimmicks out there, just kind of like being real with someone that I like, you know. So that's what this music is. But at the same time, what you're pointing out with what I said was, it's also made me realize, you know, that it's not really important that one person will gravitate to me when they see what I'm doing or when they hear what I'm doing.
Because you're just so invested.
Because I'm so invested in with what I'm about that, you know, it becomes less important because you can only when you prove yourself, you can only love yourself, basically. You know, you should only look to loving yourself to really have that full fulfillment of pleasure, basically, is for yourself to do something that's remarkable for yourself. So.
Yeah. It's a good phrase, and it's so I found ridiculous when I'm jumping sometimes, because you guys end with really good sentences that are like good box sentences, and like sometimes I'm better with flowing. I'm having a hard time flowing with these ones because even in the first video I had a hard time flowing because it's like they're really good spots and they're like the flow. It's like sometimes earlier I had it when you guys had left a lot of questions for me.
Yeah.
This one I'm kind of like I'm breaking up that deep phrase to like, but how'd you guys get into rock and roll?
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'll let you start first, Connor.
All right. I just got into
sorry, you know what I mean.
Just heavier music. I just got into it because when I was growing up, my mom played country a lot, and I was always around that. But she also played like pop and sort of like softer rock, like kind of like country rock sort of stuff.
Okay.
Old 80s pop hits and that. And so I would listen to that a lot. And then as I got older and I spent more like time with my dad, he would play like hard rock and like old 80s sort of like hard heavy metal bands. He would play a lot of like rap and like hard rap music from like the 90s and 2000s and
NRA
like,
or
NWA and like Eminem, Dr. Dre, that sort of stuff. And then as I got more listening to that, there was like one of my first times I heard heavy metal was he played Welcome to the Jungle, you know, and that was my first real taste of like a heavy metal band, because you know, now I wouldn't consider Guns N' Roses heavy metal, it'd be a hard rock, but back then I was like, wow, what is this? Like, this is like blowing me away. And then it just became more and more as I grew up, you know, like I was saying, I got kind of more angsty, felt more pushed out, and I was like, I want to gravitate towards harder music. And then I like an angrier music because I felt angrier, so I connected with it. And then as I started playing music more and become more serious about it, I thought, well, I need to find music that is complicated because I want to push my abilities, because like I've never been the person to be like, this is as good as I'm gonna get, you know. I always think you can always improve on something, whether it's, you know, a skill or yourself, or, you know, even just like something as simple as like a daily routine, you can improve on it. So it just got me more into these more complicated, more technical musical stuff, but at the same time, you know, angrier stuff because it was.
But this kind of music that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, it was an outlet to, you know, a positive one, so that I wasn't just focusing my anger
up here.
Yeah, on here. I wasn't like, you know, dwelling in all my bad thoughts and like.
Benefits of video.
Yeah.
Finally doing little hand gestures. And I used to be like, you know, up here. Sorry, keep going.
But yeah, I would like be like dwelling in my head back, and you know, that's not a good thing. You don't really want to sit with your bad thoughts. So once I started getting into playing music and writing my own music, you know, it was an outlet to let out all the angry, negative things that I had in a more positive way than, you know, me like punching a hole in my wall or something. You know, I was just like, I'm gonna just write some angry lyrics or write some.
Or just drinking away into like oblivion, right, and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like
sometimes.
I mean,
sure,
like I still
not like as your getaway.
I mean, like I still do that, but I just write music while I do that now.
Exactly.
And yeah, so it all in all just went from softer and softer to heavier and heavier and heavier, just because I started to relate more to that than, you know, the country or the pop, because I don't relate to that.
Yeah, me neither. I know what you mean.
I don't know how to
it's got a good
lasso
like, I
shit.
guess. Yeah.
Like, but yeah, it's just I related more and more with that kind of music growing up,
sure.
and then just, you know, over time, and I bet as time goes on, I will just gravitate to more and more music as I grow up and experience
Diversify.
more.
Yeah. What about you, Ben? You're a travel mix. I don't think we talked about your dad's band, and this is that shot again, and then also stuff like that.
For sure, man.
For sure, man. No, I love it.
Yeah, I grew up in Kamloops listening to a lot of, you know, Slipknot and Metallica and Pantera.
Well, how'd you get into it? Like at some point?
My cousin introduced me to it.
Okay.
My cousin. First, it was my other cousin Simon.
Okay.
He introduced me to Tool, and I really dug it.
Mhm.
That's when I wanted to play guitar. So I sat in my room learning Tool songs and a lot of other kind of stuff, but mainly Tool. But what made me want to play bass was like I had moved to Vancouver to live with my dad, and he'd have me in the garage 5 hours a day practicing like just learning the bass, learning scales and stuff like that. So just bettering myself on the instrument. I wasn't really even a fast player until later on. I was more like a groove player as a bass player. So
because that was more like his band too, right?
it was more like his style and the aesthetic we were going for. We played a bunch of covers, you know, like a lot of blues covers, funk, jazz, Latin stuff, and some Stevie Wonder stuff, and we did that. And I did a bit of writing experimenting too, because I did some fusion stuff with my buddy Anson and this guy from Denmark.
Cool.
I forget his name. I think it was Julius or something. And he was a drummer, but Anson played trombone and keyboards. He's like a multi-instrumentalist. He's a brilliant dude. But yeah, I had 2 songs that I wanted to play, and then we did some covers, and we did it for a big school meet, high school meet, and there was some other groups that came together and played, and we won best fusion group of the whole thing. So that was a good experience for me, you know, growing up in high school and just living. And then I got into technical death metal or progressive death metal, kind of a blend of the two later on. So me and my dad kind of had a fallout. So I came back to Kamloops, and then, you know, I just wanted to better myself. There's a side of me that wants to be angry, and it feels good, but you know it's not healthy. So I was kind of like in back and forth like that, and I guess the angry side was like, you know, listening to, you know, other really intense death metal bands, you know, from the 90s, like you know, like Suffocation, Cannibal Corpse, Pestilence, Atheist, you know, even some thrash bands like Exorder and different stuff like that. So I really dug down to the underground stuff, and that's really what shaped me.
Yeah.
Everything, the way I dress, everything, how I carry myself, what I listen to on a daily basis.
Gave you a community.
I met some of the best people I've ever met has been because I listen to death metal. You know, especially some of the most real people that I've ever met, most down to earth, real people that I've ever met has been because I listen to death metal. That people that teach me things, and you know, it's rad. You know, so and when I got into it, I started playing more fast. Started using 3-finger picking, then 4-finger speed picking, and you know, trying to play faster runs with the scales that I learned growing up. You know, and I developed a style of soloing, and I developed a style of writing. I found my own style of arranging. My martyr tattoo right here.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can see that, but
you can
it's my favorite.
It up if you'd like.
It's my favorite band right there, Martyr. Yeah, thanks to Dan Mongrain and his brother Francois. Francois, yeah, they're from Quebec. They're awesome.
Yeah.
I talked to Dan Mongrain on Facebook
Oh,
a
really?
couple times, and I showed him my tattoo. He's like, "Whoa, cool!" So he's my mentor. He probably doesn't know it yet, but he's my mentor.
Yeah. That's awesome too.
Yeah, so everything was just how I write music and what I like to talk about is all shaped from a lot, truthfully, the Quebec scene. Really, it's just what it shaped the
Which
way.
is interesting. I would have even thought they have an interesting scene there. For this.
In my opinion, it's the best in North America.
Oh, wow.
It's my favorite scene.
Yeah.
It's my favorite scene in North America.
But they have a vibrant community for the genre.
Yeah, and so that's what's basically that's how I got into it. My cousins just showing me some pretty cool metal bands, and then I did something else, and I came back to it.
And then you even the both of you were in a band, both named Padova, which is an interesting story in its own self.
Yeah.
I'll let you both jump in and try and play around with that, because they're not the same band.
Yeah.
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 Alright, well, yours is probably around first, so you can take it off.
Yeah, I can.
Sure.
We it's funny because when they had the name, they were a thrash band. We got our name their name from a thrash band previous that was called, I believe they were a thrash band. They were called Padova.
As well.
As
That
well.
was the third one.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So when we heard that they weren't using the name, we'll use the name.
Yeah.
And we were playing kind of like style, All That Remains kind of style stuff, a bit of Killswitch Engage style metalcore kind of stuff, and we played in Vernon, we played at Pogues, we played at Dirty Jersey in town here, and Brennan was pretty cool. I really liked playing there. But it was the first time I ever experienced traveling somewhere to play.
Yeah.
And that was a really good memory for me. Just hanging out with my friends, and just driving somewhere and playing at a gig.
Yeah. Gas money get you there, maybe.
Gas
food.
money. It was realistic, it was
Real fucking cheap,
it was a little mini tour.
Yeah.
It was really exciting. So, it was awesome. I had a great time, and different from Justin Perflow, the guy that's the guy that's we met earlier, the guy that's the vocalist for Cavernated, our band.
Yeah.
He was the guitar player, but he decided just to be the vocalist.
Yeah.
So Nick and I wanted to find my other guitar player in the band. We wanted to find a different lead guitar player. So we talked to this guy named Zach, and Zach joined. He's a really, really good soloist, lead player kind of thing. And so we changed the name to Echoes of Abraxas.
Okay.
And then we unfortunately went on hiatus. So that's what happened with us. I've been trying to rekindle something, but
Life just gets in the way sometimes.
Yeah, and it's funny because now I actually play with Nick,
Okay.
from that band. I play with
riffing and stuff. And
we're starting something now, and it's really groovy. It's really it's like groove metal, but kind of progressive. And it's got a lot of different aspects of different kind of styles of music in it. But so we're playing too. So, but just to say that's basically how I got into the whole thing.
Yeah. Your band name, I'm gonna forget Padova.
Padova.
I got it.
Yeah.
I even said it before you did. But it was Chernobyl.
It was Chernobyl, yeah.
Okay.
So
Were you both Padova at the same time?
No.
For a period? Okay.
I don't think so at all, because we were...
Okay, Google. Set alarm for 15 minutes.
Okay, your alarm's set for 6:43 p.m.
Okay, Google. Stop. Sorry, I was good. That's to check if this thing has died of battery or memory yet, which it shouldn't have. It's still going. It's still.
Moment of truth.
Yeah, it's still going. Okay, let's hope.
You looked so sad for a second. I was so worried.
No, I was just kind of like, is this right? We're good. The video's still on.
All right.
We're not lost it. We're 23 minutes in.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Sweet. So that's
Okay.
okay.
Fuck yeah. Sweet.
Tell me about Padova 2 and how you met him at one of your band things?
The
Or
first,
was that different?
no, that was the first time I ever met Ben.
Yeah.
So
So
that,
tell me about Chernobyl
All right.
Padova, and that will lead into that. That's where you're trying to end goal it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I was like 16. I was in a band with a couple guys who were like 30 for like a couple months.
It's really cool. I mean, the fact that they saw you as good enough to just be in their band, not just to listen. That's really awesome.
And I was in there for a couple months, and it just kind of was like, it wasn't really going anywhere. So I was like,
No.
like I could tell immediately. I was like, it doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. Like it's like the occasional jam in the basement or something. So then I was introduced from one of their friends, who was the dad of a guy named Gage Brown, who's a guitarist, and he was in the band Chernobyl. They were looking for a bass player, and I was playing bass in that band. So I was like, all right, I'll play bass for them. I'll go. So we had an audition. They ended up deciding like to choose me as the bassist. And then I was in that band as Chernobyl for probably about a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
And then things just didn't end up working out, and Gage left the band, and then we were trying to find another guitarist. Couldn't find anyone though. We were like on our we're like plucking at
It's
like
a small town.
Yeah.
Or it's not a small town, but for your scene, it's a
yeah,
small town.
we're grasping for
Yeah.
like a guitarist, and I was like, forget it. I was like, I'll like do the guitar. I'll play the guitar. I'd already written all the bass for our songs, but I was like, whatever, I'll teach it to someone. I'll play the guitar though. Just teach me the riffs, and I'll write solos and all that. And we did that, and then we ended up hiring one of my high school buddies. I met him in like grade 8 as the bassist. And that's when, because we were like, well, this is like a completely different band, because the sound had been changing and all that.
Over
It was
time.
completely like new members from what the band was. So we were just like, let's change the name. And we all decided on Padova because of the sanitarium down in Tronquillo, because we were like, that's like the creepiest thing in town. Like, let's name it
It's
after
a boarded
that.
up one now too, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like off limits and all that. They do
Yeah.
tours and that
Yeah,
occasionally,
yeah.
but for the public, it's like off limits. So we were like, that's the creepiest thing in town. Let's name our band
It's the
after
heaviest
that.
thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, we were playing shows. I'd met Ben at one of the shows while we were at Chernobyl.
Mm.
But then just over time, me and Ben would meet at like Riverside, like me and the band
Yeah.
Padova would be down there like partying on
Yeah.
the beach.
Yeah,
And I'd see Ben coming walking through, come and hang out with people, and we'd talk about music and all that. And then, and I'd see him at the gym a few times.
yeah.
Yeah. And I never even knew that he was in a band called Padova till, like, literally he told me, like, once I was in this new band, Cavernous. I didn't even know that.
How long has that actually been? I haven't even asked. How long have you guys been in Cavernous together?
For about maybe a month.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It's like, how have you known? It's like a couple of years, 2 years now, 3 years. Do you guys know each other?
Very, like,
Not over
Off and
this
on,
summer.
off and on.
very kind of like,
Yeah.
kind of like you smile at them if you see them
yeah.
for like a long
That's
time.
what I see.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's kind
Yeah.
of like, I know who that is.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Okay, cool. Good to know. Only a month. For some reason, the way you guys sound, like you have your album trying to like produce it, it sounds like it's been like longer than that. So that's good on you guys for 1 month already on that. We'll talk about that in a minute. But that's well, I guess you actually answered my question how you guys met too. We'll talk about that right now.
Alright.
So you guys have been in a band for just a month. To remind the band members,
Cavernated.
Cavernated.
Yeah.
Awesome. The genre in whole is
Progressive technical death metal.
okay. Tell us about Justin. I don't know. Don't even.
Justin is like
I don't know. That's a
really
weird.
talented.
Don't worry. That's a weird transition. We will talk about Justin, but I feel it's like I wanted to go on naturally. I don't know. It's so weird. I don't know why I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't want to force it, and that's like there's been a little force. And we're also redoing this, so I'm trying to
Yeah.
like re-get it in proper placement.
Mm.
We don't even need to talk about Justin. But hi Justin. I guess he's gonna watch this.
I'm gonna give a shout out to Justin Perifalo anyway because he's been awesome.
Thanks for the drop off.
He's actually been he recorded today us playing.
That's what we'll talk about. keep
Yeah.
going.
Okay. Well, he before when Connor was in the band, Justin Perifalo was the guitar player.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was because we didn't have a drummer, and we still don't really have a drummer, but he was doing drum programming for everything for the 2 songs we've done so far, and basically we did a short version of the song that I showed you while we were off the air. Voice Like Water.
Is that the name, Voice Like Water?
Voice Like Water, yeah.
And that's a really cool song. When do you guys think you'll be popping that up for listening to?
I think it's gonna take, because we want to present everything kind of right off the bat,
And
just
get album
in like an
format.
album form,
Okay.
give it the proper presentation. So I'd say maybe a year and a half.
No.
I'd say to really, if we really
To
get,
tone it up.
if we really work hard on it,
Yeah.
I'd say we could probably get it almost 2 years.
Yeah.
From 2 years from now,
For the whole album. Or
take
one
some.
nice bundle.
It'll take some time.
Of course.
'Cause
That's why it's when you said you've been in the band for a month and you're working on your album. That's what I was like, whoa. But dude, that makes more sense. I was
Yeah.
like, man, you guys a month and you're popping out this album?
Yeah.
Well,
that
I mean-
makes way more sense.
I mean, it's like you said, like Cavernous has been a thing for like what 6 years or
6
something.
years,
but
yeah.
I've been in the band for like a month
Okay.
and a half, 2 months maybe.
Yeah.
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 Just getting that right chemistry as it gets rolling down the hill.
And Justin Perflow, like we were in a band. Still in the band, but he's in a band called Shatterless, and Shatterless is like a progressive stoner metal band.
Nice.
And I actually played bass on the album, and I decided that I wanted to continue on with just Cabernated to have it be my main focus. So I quit. But he's still in Shadowless, and they're still really good, and they got a new bass player. He's also the vocalist. Yeah, they're doing really good.
Justin's skill with that programming, though. We listened to the song, Justin, if you're listening, which I guess we will listen to sooner or later. It was really sweet, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
like you guys kicked butt with your music on there, but the fact that, like, he set out that bass for you guys just to riff in the song. It was a really sweet
Yeah.
song overall. I really enjoyed it, by the way.
Oh,
It's
cool.
not something I listen to. It's not my thing, but I can really see, like, it's really awesome. A lot of effort into it. Like, there's so many different sections to that song that I was taking a lot of time to make sure that it would flow between those different, like,
Yeah.
not genres,
Yeah.
it's like tones, which was
Yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah.
And, like, I could hear the changing of the drums. A great job using a computer to make that drum, which I felt probably a lot easier naturally, but
Yeah.
that was really good, by the way.
He's just a whiz to work with. Like he's really keen on getting the best sounding product. He's just a great musician. He hears things, and now him being the vocalist in the band, like I've heard him before. He's a great vocalist. He can try. He's got a lot of my favorite like '90s kind of style of like. He's got the Pantera vocals. He's got like Glenn Benton kind of stuff, like the growly, the original death metal stuff he can do, and he's just a really unique individual. He's a good lyricist too, so he's got a really good imagination. That's basically the main goal for Cabernated, is to always have imagination with what we do, with whatever product we present, with whatever trailer for an album or like song or like live footage. We want to have imagination, and Justin is such a valuable person to have in the band. So that's a bit about Justin.
Yeah. And that provides a really sweet segue too. Because I can ask Connor too. What about Connor? You're in your own band as well, called
Yeah.
Embrace.
No, Broken
Crows, and you
Yeah.
have a single.
It's a EP.
It's an EP.
It's got a few tracks on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's called Embrace.
Embrace.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe so. You're telling me what Cavernet's background is wanting to be cabernated.
Cabernated,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Sorry, man. I'm just like
Well, it's
trying to get. I got. It's okay.
It's all
But
good.
it's trying to be imaginative. And now we can talk about what's the kind of goals for what you want Broken Crows to be.
Well, it's not the same genre. It's
No, of
like,
course
well,
not. It's just you're a
melodic.
musician.
It's
Yeah.
melodic death metal,
Yeah.
which is like the same sort of like screamed vocals, really
Yeah.
fast tempos, like some technical sort of riffs, but lots of melody, keyboards, lots of guitar solos, lots of like harmonies and all that, and like even like acoustic parts and all that throughout it. And mainly I was just kind of like, it was the style of music that when I left the band Padova, I just wanted to write that kind of music, but the other guys didn't want to, so I couldn't just like put my foot down and be like, well, we're writing this kind of music. So I was
Yeah.
like, well, I'm just not it's like music that I'm like passionate about writing. So I was like, I
really
want
getting
to.
that on the page again. That could.
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant.
Just like it was music I was passionate about. It was music I wanted to write.
Yeah.
It was And overall, it, like, for me, it doesn't really have, like, a big background of, like, really what it, like, means to me personally, even though I'm, like, passionate about it. It's mainly just, it's angry music, so it's a way to let out my anger, like I said before. And it's just fast, which I like, you know, heart pumping and all that. And it's, like, fun, which is what I really like. And I love playing, like, guitar solos and all that, and even, like, I'm not the best singer, but I do the vocals in it, and I do the lead guitar, just because I
did enjoy it so far. I listened, I think, of the first 2 on it. There's 4.
There's
songs.
4, yeah.
Where can people listen to that if people are interested?
Everywhere. It's on,
Everywhere.
like, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Google Play. I sell...
Is it on YouTube?
It's on YouTube, yeah. I sell CDs out of my basement.
Nice.
Um,
Help your local artists, people. No,
Please help.
I know people who watch this. Your friends will watch this, and that's what. And my parents will watch this, and that's what. My brother might like it too. He's a musician too.
But yeah, it's on everything. This website called, like, Diddle Music distributed it. It's like $20 a year, and they'll distribute it to every major website. So I was like, that's a bargain.
Yeah.
You know?
Broken Crows.
Broken Crow, yeah.
Just as it sounds.
Yeah.
Sweet. So we've talked about music. We've talked about how you got into it. Talked about how it affects you, how you feel with it. We've talked about how you guys met, the bands. We finally caught up all the shit we missed out on deleting in the first time. My only final segment kind of is a different segment. I know what the segment will go for Ben. The only thing I was thinking about before you came onto the show, when we talked last, Ben was planning on doing, completely off topic of music now, but you wanted to get into supply and management companies, and that's quite a twist and turn out here, eh?
Yeah.
I'm just kind of curious. I feel like I was tipsy last time we talked about it, but I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
And I'd like to hear it again, get into it, see if that's still going. If you're still just busy working on the music right now and all that.
It's basically a way for me to become familiar with the people that are listening to the kind of stuff we like and the metal scene in Kamloops. And it's a way to build the scene. I would like to find a business partner eventually, but it's basically to start a distribution company, a merch company, essentially. And I've been wanting to do this for a while. Have my own website, have, like, underground merch, maybe have somewhere where people can pick it up, or we can give orders to people. This is, like, down the road.
Yeah, of course.
You know, but this is, like,
it's good to have long-year plans.
It's been like a goal for me to, like, maybe, like, if I have this career that I'm doing on the side, I could break out of it eventually and just focus on music.
So comfy, eh? I haven't done it this long. Keep going, man. I'm listening.
Oh, for sure. To, like, you know, I could eventually, like, live all factors of music, you know, promoting it eventually, just distributing it, playing in a band, playing in, like, other projects too, and being my true life calling is to, like, be a musician eventually. But, you know, right now I'm trying to do different things. I work for a moving company, and I'm eventually trying to get in the railroad industry to help me just make more money.
Yeah.
And, you know, get
to build that life you want to make.
Be more financially independent kind of thing. Do that, but the distribution company thing has been a goal of mine for a long time.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I've had like, you know, so many, like, daydreams of where, like, I have, like, tables set up, you know, in my rooms, and, like, I have shirts from bands and, like, distributing them to people, you know, like, at good prices for shirts, and, like, even my band stuff, distributing my, like, cavernated stuff. Even, like, Broken Crows, I'd like to get into distributing that as well. You know, distributing Broken Crows, getting them known.
Okay, Google, stop. You need that.
Distributing merch online as well, all over the Okanagan, you know, Shuswap, everywhere in Canada. That's been a goal of mine for a long time. And this has been basically a bit about that. You know, it's just something I would like to eventually get into, because I want, me and Perflow too we have talked about
Justin Perflow,
yeah. We've talked about starting, like, a venue.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about it before, like, eventually, like, maybe, like, 5 to 6 years down the road. getting into something like that where we like have
Do you mean a venue to go to, or like a venue to
play,
kind of like
like a pub kind of thing.
Okay. So owning
like a blend between a like coffee shop and a pub. Like coffee shop
like
during the
that place
day
downtown.
and like a pub at night kind of thing. We have like a band situated, like a stage situated for people for like different bands coming in.
Yeah.
So we can actually have a true venue where we play, where we have bands coming in on weekends. This is something we've talked about. Me and Justin have talked about for a little bit. And actually, originally I decided to start working towards this because I wanted to move to Quebec. I wanted to move to Montreal and get in that scene.
Good scene.
But what I really wanted to do was just build a scene here because it's a good scene. But the bands that I want to have come to Kamloops, it's just not. Is more people need to come to shows, and I know there's enough people. I know there's a good amount of people, you know, in interior BC that can come out to shows and really make it a good event.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like everybody to really become united and to come hang out and stuff. And I think, you know, a lot of people just they don't want to see like certain bands, local bands, for whatever reason. They want to see their favorite bands, you know, and
they're missing out on all the different kinds of music.
They're missing out. Yeah. But they little do they know there's a lot of great local bands.
That's what I mean. Yeah. They're
missing out, so they just judge. What I'm saying is that they don't even listen to it. They judge it.
Yeah.
And they end up not coming to shows, just because of the name or whatever, or they hear it's not their favorite style, kind of thing. But I think, you know, I'm not just a person that likes technical music.
Of course.
You know,
I like music.
You know, I love music in general, whatever it is. You know, so. But it's a way for people to get familiar with the scene and build the scene back up, have a strong scene, a hot spot for people to come in from out of town, from like, you know, from Europe, from like Spain, Mexico, like all over Brazil, like Latin countries, like come here. We can have like a really strong scene going on, and that's now has become my goal. You know, with music, with being in a band, having a future distribution company, and like having an event. And Taylor Pottle is a guy that I want to start working with too, and getting this going, because he actually worked with people at the Grotto, Blue Grotto, and they brought in a band from Italy called Hideous Divinity, and they're like a modern technical death metal band. Like, they're amazing. And I was so like, I gave him a pat on the back, like so to say, just the fact that he did it. You know? The fact that he got Hideous Divinity in town here, and they're like a really high end band. Like when they play, it sounds like their record. So he's like a guy I want to start working with, and me and Justin Periflo want to start working with him too. I haven't talked to him about it. He doesn't know this yet, but you know, it's in me. Hey, Taylor, shout out to Taylor, because he's amazing with what he does. And he's in a band called Gladius Sky. They're really good too. So, yeah.
We'll find up a final section. Connor, is there anything in those kind of situations in your future you want to do? If you kind of like, if all the pebbles roll down the hill in the right direction.
If they were all to go in the right direction, there's nothing else that I'd rather do in my life than be a musician. I mean, I know you want to get into all the different aspects of music, but for me, like that's never like piqued my interest. For me, it's just been, you know, playing music, because it's been like, I used to do like kind of what your dad did with the garage. I used to lock myself in my room for like 8 hours a day playing guitar. I'd wake up, play an hour, go to school, come home, play like 4 hours, you know, have a dinner, then play like 2 more hours before going to bed. And I used to do that every day. So basically, since I started playing music, I was like, there's nothing I want to do other than play music. I have like other hobbies and all that, but that's the thing, they're just hobbies. They're just things that I've done.
Round you out, but not what you want to do.
No, with music, it's like I invest all my spare time into it, not only with like Cavernated, but with Broken Crow, with that EP released. At the moment, me and the other guitarist in Broken Crow, his name's Sparsh Sharma. Yeah. And we're working on a full album at the moment that hopefully will be out maybe by the end of this year, but maybe next year. We only got a couple more songs to finish writing, and then it's ready to record. So, you know, it's just the
Exciting.
The painful process of going through it, but once it's done, you know it's done, and then you can put it out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, there's like, other than playing in a band and being on stage and, you know, going on tours, there's like nothing I've ever wanted to do but music. And
Yeah.
I could give, you know, I couldn't give two shits about if I get paid a lot for it. I would never want to be like a millionaire musician.
Yeah.
I just like play. I could get paid a living wage, enough for me to just, you know, live on. But at the same time, I would just want to be going around touring, releasing music, and playing to people, because I don't care, you know, like, about the money. It's just when you see a crowd of people who really connect to the
Yeah.
music you make and who are enjoying it, that's like literally worth more than anything money could ever mean to me.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I'll close it off. So normally I know for these podcasts, as podcasts, video casts, I end up with what kind of things do you like to see in the future on something like this? If this video works out, that's maybe the future thing. If it's trash, this might be the last video episode. What kind of things, people you know, or just things to improve on the podcast as it goes on, that you may have noticed as you felt going through this, and yada yada. Maybe not messing, maybe having data for the next round so I don't run out. But yeah, I leave it on you guys to improve my show. Yeah.
I really think you got a good kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
You have your own style about how you do it. You know, you got your own kind of like charisma to it that I really noticed during the whole thing. So I think you're doing a great job.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think you're doing a really good job.
Yeah.
One note.
Yeah.
Comfier chairs.
Yeah, no, man.
Get some comfy.
You don't notice it for the first 45 minutes, though. It's this extra hour and a half that's killed us.
True.
Because, like, I've never noticed this problem yet. Just anyone sees, we're on these crappy little stools. Oh, yeah, they're not made for long term. And they worked a lot better before. I might start doing the video out there now if I find a better spot.
But I mean, other than that, no, I think you're doing good.
This is a great spot here because it's a very peaceful
Yeah.
environment. So it's good.
Luckily enough,
Yes.
it's got a, like, table space.
Some like interviewers, when they do podcasts, they almost like, sometimes I almost feel like they're attacking like the person with questions. They're just like, you know, tell me more, you know, what is this? This has like been really chill.
Cool.
It's just been like having a conversation.
Good.
Really good way to
Glad-
spend a Sunday, man. To be
Yeah,
honest.
I enjoy it a lot too. I
Yeah.
get to hear these cool, interesting stories about you guys and your music. I learned a little bit more about technical. I learned about the mathematical. I learned about more about you guys in general. So when I see you more often, so you're not as much as strangers. So
Yeah.
that's good. Well, thank you guys so much.
Oh, for sure, man.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you
good
for
shit.
having us.
Thanks everybody. And as always, have a wonderful Sunday.